Welcome back to this episode of the Optimized Podcast, a show that analyzes the marketing landscape through an industry-forward lens and help new grads to navigate their career path in the ever-evolving digital world. So, if you've ever uploaded a marketing data spreadsheet into an AI tool and wondered, wait, is it going to learn from my data? Or type something very personal into, for example, ChatGPT and thought, oh, could this really come back to hunt me? If you have those thoughts, you're not alone. Across all the industries, from marketing to finance to healthcare, there's a growing curiosity and concern around how artificial intelligence interact with human and proprietary data. Is it analyzing them? Is it copying them, saving them, or just letting those data pass through? That's exactly what we're digging into today and into this core question. Is AI making digital marketing and just digital work in general smarter, or is it going to be invasive? And how can we balance personalization with privacy? To help us explore this, I'm joined by Jenning, a venture capital professional from the Silicon Valley who works very closely with AI startups and has a deep understanding of the logic and infrastructure behind how these AI systems are built. Her perspective from the other side of the spectrum, where AI is designed, tested, and scaled, gave us a unique insight into what's actually happening under the hood. Jenning, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm really
Yeah.
excited to be here. But just a heads up, for me, I actually just started. So I've been in the industry for a couple years already, but like I'm still quite junior. So everything I talk about today would be like only based on my limited knowledge.
I'm pretty
I'll
sure
try
it
my best though.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be very insightful because this is definitely a topic everyone, keeps
Yeah,
exploring.
it's a really interesting and
Yeah,
important and
yeah,
meaningful topic.
yeah, absolutely. Like so many people use ChatGPT right now, so like it's
Yeah,
crucial to really understand like how it works. So let's jump
really.
right into it. So I know that most of our listeners are in marketing, and they often use generative AI for like Excel analytics, ad targeting, or personalization. Can you like walk us through at a high level how the logic behind these recommendation algorithms actually works?
Yeah, for sure. So these recommendation algorithms are like basically pattern spotting machines.
Mm-hmm.
They take tons of user data, like their clicks, purchases, content engagement, everything, and find connections.
Mm-hmm.
These connections are sometimes like what we as humans can't like see, right? But they can.
Yeah.
And the real magic is in like segmentation prediction.
Mm-hmm.
So the AI groups similar user together, and then they make educated guesses about what you will do next.
Mm-hmm.
What makes modern AI different is this feedback loop. So every interaction teaches the system more about you, like what you dislike, and then gradually the system learns about you and
Mm-hmm.
recommend what will be particularly interested for you. So
That's
it becomes more and more accurate over time, right? Because
Mhm.
it keeps learning about you.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like you are having like a digital friend who remembers every single click you have on the internet.
So that's so nice. Yeah, like
Yeah.
during my interaction with GPT, they started from like hello to pulling out my name, be like, "Hi Kai." And then I don't need to tell it every time I start a convo. I don't need to tell it, my favorite color is pink or something. They just
Yeah,
know.
and yeah, and ChatGPT, they just launched a new feature like a long text memory
Mhm.
window. Like it will help you definitely. It will
Yeah,
help the
I
model to remember more about us even.
I love that. They're just getting more educated. And then also like I
It's
know.
actually there's like a difference though. Like
Yeah.
recommendation algorithm systems, I meant more like on TikTok, YouTube, or like Google
Mhm.
on search.
Yeah.
And that's one thing because that's like they have your cookies, they have your data, and they learn about you to recommend like Xiaohong, like Red Note, yeah,
Hmm.
TikTok, right? Those recommendation algorithms or like shopping sites.
Hmm.
But the large language models like ChatGPT, they are remembering what you tell about them. It's
Hmm.
like less about like click or like there are also data interactions between companies, but like it's complicated. It's
Yeah.
like on a high level, it's just what I talked about.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, like obviously different platforms, they have their quote unquote like preference, like what kind of data they're going to pick up on. So I think yeah, it's important for, AI designers to be aware of that. Also like important for users to be aware of that, right? And then would you say from like your experience working with so many early stage like AI startup companies, how do you like those systems typically collect and like interact with user data? What are some ways they're designed to process or make decisions based on that collected data?
Yes, so I think that is definitely a really sensitive topic
Hmm.
when we are like meeting founders or talking about their data collection strategies. I think there is this trade-off. Like AI is still at an early stage today, and it's just a common knowledge that more data you have, the better, like the scaling law, right? Like more data you have, the better the model will be. But the thing is that a lot of data involve privacy, involve like personal information.
Hmm.
So sometimes they're like a gray area where founders collect data. Um, so it's a bit difficult to say. Like you want technology to advance, to evolve, but
Hmm.
it's at the cost of you're probably like releasing some of your private data to other entities.
Yeah.
But I think the important thing is that so there are several like privacy concerns we think of. One is like data or your personal information would be stored in this system longer than users expect, longer than we expect,
Hmm.
because they need these historical data to make predictions.
Hmm.
And the second is the better the model, then the better their ability will be in terms of piecing together all the information about you. Like even if you don't tell about your income, what job you do over time, like over different conversations you have, the model learns about you and they can piece together this data and then they learn about you, they know your habits, they
Hmm.
know what you do, etc.
Yeah, that's
Um,
very interesting.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
I
can,
think
yeah, yeah.
you go, you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, yeah, it's so interesting because if you want the AI to evolve, you have to feed it info and you have to feed enough info, and that might include like your personal info, like, your preferences, your work title or whatever. You have to feed them those info to make them grow. But yeah, like I feel like there's always like that very like timid, fragile area of what's like doable versus what's invasive, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think the thing is that um like just to be transparent or like to be as transparent as possible
Hmm.
to users,
Hmm.
definitely. Like you can tell them that probably some of their data will become part of the training data, or like what part of their data will be part of the training data, or
Yeah.
like we are collecting it, but you can opt in or opt out or
Hmm.
anything like that. I just feel like it's okay. And for me personally, at least as a user, I am totally supportive of like these young startups
Hmm.
because I just feel like they need more data to have better AI performance. So I'm willing to release some of my data that I think is not that private.
Hmm.
So on that part, I think it's understandable that they're collecting, they're wanting to have more data. It's
Yeah.
just privacy is definitely a problem, but like as long as there are clear communication between the product and the user, then I think it will be the best.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a smart choice to give the user like a very transparent notification or just tell them, oh, you have the choice. So actually, we're going to talk about a case, happening in the real world where probably they didn't really offer that opt-in, opt-out choice to the audience, and that sparked some problem. So back in 2022, a US company called Clearview AI built a facial recognition tool by collecting like 20 billion photographs, which is the equivalent of nearly three per human on the planet, from public websites and their social media without the user's knowledge or consent. So the users won't offer the choice of whether they want their data to be collected or not. And then meanwhile, the vast majority of people, like I've mentioned, they have no idea their photographs are being included in the data set that this Clearview AI's tools relies on. What this company did after that is that they sold this technology to law enforcement agencies for like surveillance purposes, such as many police departments and also businesses like Walmart that could utilize, like facial recognition technologies. So this approach really triggered like global backlash. Like the regulators in countries like in the UK and Canada and Australia, they actually ruled that the Clearview AI violated data protection laws. So in 2022, the UK fined the company 7.5 million pounds and ordered them to delete any data related to UK citizens. So even though this is a pretty extreme case of data privacy and data usage, but it kind of forces us to really confront a big question, like where is the ethical line when it comes to AI, quote unquote, learning from public data? So Jenny, I really wonder, like based on this case and probably from your side and experience at the table, how do you think investors or like AI founders think about the ethics of scraping and collecting public data for training AI? And like what should be the standard just because something is accessible online? Does it mean like it's a fair game to just get those data?
Yes, so I think this is a really good question. I think that on the case that you talked about, if they didn't communicate with the users or didn't let the users know that their pictures will be sent to like law enforcement, etc., that's a totally different game. So I think nowadays in the current AI startup landscape, I think people are more and more aware of data privacy and how users care about them
Hmm.
because I think a couple years ago, it's like the attitude was basically if it's public, then it's fair game.
Hmm.
Like it's just purely looking at legal boundaries, not
Hmm.
ethical ones. The
Yeah.
case was like beyond legal, I think, even
Yeah.
not ethical ones.
Yeah.
But today, I think we ask even more specific questions to funders, like would users actually expect their data to be used this way?
Hmm.
Is there like real transparency here? I think the standard I hoped for is like informed expectation. People
Yeah.
posted selfies to connect with friends, not to build a global surveillance database, right?
Definitely, like,
Yeah.
if you go back to like a couple years back, I think the reason people didn't consider like, oh, is it legal is because we didn't have such an actively adapting and like getting smarter every day tool like AI. So we didn't need to think about the ethical stuff. But yeah, now that ethical stuff is on the picture, you definitely have to be like, you have to think more comprehensively regarding like, is this usage okay? Because it can actually trigger something further that you didn't have to deal with back in the only you have to consider about it like global issue days for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And I think from a VC perspective,
Mhm.
smart founders really built with these considerations from day one, not
That
to
makes
just
sense.
avoid like regulatory issues in the long run, but because lasting AI businesses and products need user trust to
Hmm.
survive and to like become bigger, right?
Yeah.
So this is really important.
Yeah, that's so valid. Yeah, I bet a lot of people are using AI because they are like comfortable and they're convenient using it. But once you realize, oh, this AI is going to take data from me, they're going to ditch that like program or ditch the platform in no time. So I think definitely it's so important to just from the beginning, just have the mindset of, oh, we're gonna only gonna collect these info and those info are definitely like not touchable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So like let's say if we zoom out a little bit, so I know that, because I'm in digital marketing and like a lot of digital marketers are increasingly using those AI tools, that analyzes like customer updates or inputs, like, images, documents, or chat history. What kind of responsibilities do professionals have when it comes to understanding how those AI systems are trained and what they might be doing with that data behind the scenes?
Yes, I think very good question. And I think marketers do have two jobs here.
Hmm.
First, I think we should do our homework on what tools we're using.
Hmm.
Like definitely read through those privacy policies and understand what happens to customer data.
Hmm.
And also second, I think as soon as we understand those, we can also become the ethics advocates within our companies,
Hmm.
right? Because we are using these tools first as marketers.
Hmm.
So we are setting the tone. We are like letting our probably like, managers know that like what the pros and cons if
Hmm.
like we are adopting this tool.
Yeah.
And I think really we are asking those like AI vendors questions like can data be permanently deleted? What boundaries exist between your data and their training data? Things like that. Like really ask clear questions when you choose to adopt a new technology.
Yeah, definitely. Seems like transparency is like a big, big theme here, which I totally agree. Like you definitely need transparency, no matter it's like, in business or in your daily personal life or, in AI. Like it's such a
Yeah.
learning adaptive tool. So letting everyone know what they're signing up for, I think it's so important and definitely like shifts your business away from legal issues that Clearview AI faced, obviously.
Mm.
Yeah. So as we've discussed, many areas that the marketers could be aware, like you just mentioned, during their navigation of AI. Let's say for our digital marketers thinking about the future, what would you say is one shift in AI or data ethics that you think they should keep an eye on?
Um, I think keep an eye on privacy preserving AI techniques.
Mm-hmm.
Things like federated learning, where AI models can learn across devices without raw data ever leaving their devices, I think is really good because this eventually means you are getting personalization benefits without the privacy downsides, right?
That sounds
Um,
very nice.
yeah, and I really think AI transparency will become a major brand differentiator.
Mm-hmm.
Customers are getting like savvier about data usage.
Yeah.
And in a couple of years, we'll likely see marketing roles specifically focused on ethical data communication.
That's gonna
Could
be
be,
very interesting.
yeah, could be a great career opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like the new job posting. Yeah, I think it's very, fascinating to think about because right now people are talking about, oh, which AI platform is smarter, which one is like more convenient. But yeah, if imagine in the future they're gonna have to talk about like, oh, which, app is more ethical, which one is, protects you the better, or which one is more invasive. So that's definitely what businesses have to start thinking about like right now to really be ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this has been a like very fascinating conversation, Jenny. Thank you so much for, giving us a very in-depth, view into how the next wave of AI tools are being shaped and, how we can use them more responsibly. This is to our listeners. If you're working in marketing, content, or brand and you're experimenting with I think this episode is definitely your reminder to not just to think about what's possible, but also what is ethical. Thank you so much for being the podcast, Denning.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. We'll catch you next time.